welcome to the Daft Souls podcast. My name is Matt Lees and I am joined by Mr. Joe Scrabbles.
Hello.
And Miss Keza McDonald.
Hi, it's nice to be back.
It's nice to have you back. It's been a while. I'm back on a roll now with the podcast. I kept missing weeks because of E3 and stuff. I wasn't even there. But
are you saying this is the start of a roll?
This is the beginning of a roll.
Are we the crunch before the roll?
Yeah, we're like the beginning of momentum as the wheel of cheese spins down
the Somerset Hill.
The Somerset Hill of destiny.
It's like the end of I'm sorry, I haven't a clue, isn't it?
It is. I was basically exactly ripping them off then. / homage phrase. It's that actually was
do homage.
Inadvertently one of the most clever jokes I've ever made. Anyway, talking of Destiny. No, I haven't played it.
No.
It looked really good though.
It's alright.
The alpha looked great, but they released it while everyone was at E3.
I know, right?
It's so unfair.
It's the first time I kind of reminded myself I do need to get a PS4 because I keep thinking, well, there's no point in getting one until the games come out, but I forget that we now live in the future and at any point somebody can just go, boom, you can just play this game now.
Here's
but
Battlefield Hardline.
A day. I mean, Battlefield
12 minutes.
Hardline. I mean, it looks alright, but it looks like a mod. You know, it doesn't look like a new game.
Kind of looks like a fun mod, though. I want a mod that adds grappling hooks. Like, that's why I install mods for. That's good fun.
You must be really disappointed whenever you install a mod that doesn't have grappling hooks.
Yeah, well, I mean, grappling hooks are pretty much, that's all I mod for. Like, that's it. Half-Life 2 grappling hooks. Unreal Tournament 2003 grappling hooks.
What's your favourite grappling hook mod?
Well, there's not many. So, because I've made them up. That's the problem.
I see.
Yeah.
Some of these fictional jokes.
These stupid made-up jokes we do.
Oh. But yeah, I really want to play it.
Oh, wait,
I don't know where that came
sorry.
from. Yeah.
And also now there's all these jokes that we now will miss out on forever, like the Peter Dinklage, that wizard came from the moon joke. Now we'll never get to be a part of that joke because they'll fix it. They'll fix it by the time the game comes out.
See, the thing is, I'm almost positive it's going to come out so much funnier because they're really going to work on that line. Like, he still has to say it, surely, because it's part of the script. So it's going to be him really over-egging it. It's going to be, that wizard came from the moon! And everyone will be really excited. I'm down for that.
I want that.
Yeah,
I
it's
want
a good
an
line.
incredibly hammy space adventure with guns.
That'd be cool.
Oh, I can't wait for this. I really want to play. I was devastated when the alpha was that weekend.
I didn't really give a piss about it at all, and then something just flicked in my head. But I'm worried. I'm worried it's not real because I always have this with Halo games as well. There's something about Bungie games
I don't know.
that I don't care about them at all. And then as soon as other people are playing them, I become overwhelmed with a desire to join in. And because of that, I've bought almost every Halo game since Halo 3 and played it for about an hour.
Exactly the same as me. I played Halo 1 to the point of obsession. Because it was still...
Halo 1 was a really good game.
It was so good. And also, like, I used to get friends to bring their Xboxes and we'd do 16-player on 4 TVs back before internet was a thing. God.
I remember that.
Christ,
that was
how
fun.
old did
I don't
that
remember
make me
any
sound?
of that. I only played the first Halo game when it came out on the Xbox 360.
Oh, what, the anniversary edition?
Anniversary edition.
It was a generational defining thing. It was great.
It still stood up.
Every
That was
single
amazing.
one I played Halo 2 through, but then same as you, every single Halo game after I've been like, yeah, Halo, and then I buy it, play 3 levels and go, oh, it's boring.
Well, I wait for it to update, I download all the things, download all the extra map packs, and then I hop on and I can't get into it. I can't get into it. And I think there's a bunch of reasons for that. I think largely the community. I really dislike the fact they still have, like, they did it at the E3 presentation actually, Microsoft, they still had like some, like, I think when they were announcing, here's the Halo Master Chief Collection. It was like they had somebody doing the old teabagging, and it's just so fucking weak.
It did actually
It's
do
so
teabagging.
fucking
This is it.
weak.
It was funny when I was 14.
Precisely.
But
And
not anymore.
the fact that they have it still as this cultural joke, this cultural, like, teabagging, yeah, it's classic. It's like, no, it's fucking rubbish.
Well, it's
Remember Red versus Blue?
Yeah.
Anyone? Please?
No, see, Red vs. Blue still that. It's still quite funny.
Is that still going?
Is that still a thing?
Oh, I mean, I say it's
Rooster
still
Teeth is still a
funny.
thing.
I mean,
Oh, the original
I mean,
one.
you go back and watch the early videos.
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah.
still funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the teabagging, yeah, it's just like, I don't know. There's something inherently about, like, I've killed you and now I'm putting my balls in your face.
I mean,
virtual
hilarious when you're
Hilarious if you're
really funny if you're a little kid.
This is the thing. Do they still see their market as young teenagers who haven't played the
I
whole
I think
series?
it must be, surely. I mean, I know my partner's 8-year-old son is obsessed with the idea of Halo.
Yeah.
Partly because, I mean...
Well, that's still, I can't work out who this Halo Master Chief Bollocks edition is for. Is it for people who want to have, like... Is it for people who buy that, like, the James Bond DVD set?
I'll buy the hell out
Who
of
are,
it.
like, enthusiasts who just want to put it on their shelf?
Oh, I'm not even that into any Halo apart from Halo 1, and I'll buy it.
Really?
Yeah, I will.
When are you going to play all of these maps?
I will play the multiplayer that they've done, where they basically reinstated the multiplayer from the first Halos.
Right.
Because the problem I had with Halo 4 is that I played it for a bit and I was like, oh, I'll do multiplayer, because I used to be pretty into my multiplayer Halo. And the problem they have now is that every single game has this stupid thing where you get in and you can't be good for several hours because you have to get experience points. And some motherfucker's got a jetpack. And you're like, why do I have a jetpack? That's not fair.
Yeah,
that's, It used to be in online multiplayer shooters, and this is, I grew up with this. Arena shooters where nobody got experience and you all just played on a level playing field.
And one bastard knew where the best gun was.
Exactly.
No, but then when every bastard knew where the best gun was, it became a whole meta game where everyone's working
the maps,
out
and everyone's like guarding the sniper rifle or whatever.
And that's why I still think that the pinnacle of it for me was the first Unreal Tournament, just because I liked Halo, but it had a nasty habit of having stuff like hiding stuff. Like, I remember,
but that was kind of the beauty of it.
I know, but it was really frustrating as a newcomer. Like, I remember playing Zanzibar,
yeah.
and it being like, after you played Zanzibar a bit, you knew that at a certain point at the start of the level, you'd fire a rocket at the windmill, and somebody was trying to get the sword would get blown up, and you wouldn't be able to see them.
But that in itself was quite...
It is awesome, but it kind of annoyed me that it really, up until you spent enough time dying and exploring the maps, would you actually even know where any of the good stuff was?
But even now, when you play any multiplayer shooter, and it's like, well done, you've played this for 10 hours, have some experience, have a better gun than everybody else, have this, have that, have a bloody jetpack. What is up with the jetpacks? And it just it turned me right off Halo, because I don't have time to spend. I just wanted a game of Halo. That's why I'm going to buy the Master Chief Collection, because I can just buy it. I can buy a game. I can play a game of Halo 1 for half an hour.
I think I'm just out of online shooters now. I think I'm out.
I think I'm. Yeah, I know what you mean by that.
I'm kind of done. Like, I mean, I keep trying to get back into them, but that's why like stuff like Destiny kind of appeals to me, because I do like the Borderlands games for all of their gaping faults. I enjoy the cycle of just go around, shoot some stuff, get a different gun every now and then, get a really different gun, and go, bloody hell, what next?
Special.
Whatever's going to happen next, and then it's just more of the same guns again for a long time. But at least it's not competitive, you can just roam around.
Destiny is the kind of game that you can play with your friends as an exploration, like an MMO with guns, which is cool. But I mean, I know what you mean about competitive shooters. Like, I can't imagine caring like I used to about
I thought I was out. I thought I was done with shooters full stop, actually, and I still haven't, embarrassingly, I still haven't played any bloody more of it, because I've just been working all the time and I haven't really played any games. But I've really been impressed by Wolfenstein.
A lot of people have been impressed by Wolfenstein.
The only thing I'd say about Wolfenstein that I don't like so far, and I think is going to continue to grate as I get through the game, is their decision to do that abysmally, continually crap thing of having you facing enemies that just have more health. I understand why they do it, but it's always rubbish. Because when you start on FPS and you get a gun and you shoot a soldier who's a soldier, he's a normal soldier, it's just a soldier, shoot him in the head, bang, he's dead. And then you get about 3 hours in and you get soldiers with a bit more armour on, and you have to shoot them in the head about 10 times before they die. And it's just not fun.
Yeah.
There's something about games where you shoot things in the head and they don't demonstrably die. And the only exception to that is probably Binary Domain, which had a thing of you couldn't kill stuff by shooting them immediately, but every time you shot them in the head, you got a real feeling that you were shooting something in the head.
Because bits were flying off.
And it was making an amazing noise.
Best freaking game. Oh man,
it did so much right.
Yeah,
Domain.
Well, it just makes the fact that any single grunt enemy in that game was like this sort of layered set of different mechanisms, and you totally understood where they were at in their sort of. Essentially, they were just a model that was a health bar at the same time. Yeah. It was amazing. It just brilliant. Feels so good.
And you could just look at one and just go, he hasn't got any armour on his left leg.
Yeah.
Shoot his left leg.
Exactly.
It was absolutely brilliant. But yeah, in Wolfenstein it started to do this thing where it's like, oh, it's the heavy troopers. And I'm just like, please don't do this.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I'd much rather have an experience where he just keeps throwing more and more.
Yeah, exactly.
Nazis
that's like Serious Sam, apart from with Nazis.
Yeah,
well, if you're gonna give people a game where they can dual wield any weapon, just throw millions of people at them. That's all you want. If you've got dual shotguns, you should be running around getting as much chance as possible to use them. Whereas,
did any of you play Titanfall?
Yes.
I played the beta.
See, the weird thing is I played the beta for maybe 10 hours. I loved it. And then as soon as it came out, I rushed out, bought it, and I've literally not turned it on once. I think I just wore myself out on the beta.
Yeah.
The idea of starting again is like, oh, I don't know. I think I maybe had the fun.
I think it's easy to wear yourself out on Titanfall.
It's amazing.
Like, it's such a good game.
It's so good, but it's the same minute of fun.
Thing. Yeah.
And that's what Halo did as well. That's what it got right. Is it did the same 30 seconds to 60 seconds of fun over and over again. And I just feel like I've accidentally inoculated myself to the fun.
Yeah, it's sort of finding out what the rhythm of the game is. Like, because when you're first playing and you're like, this is fun, you don't know why it is. It's just in you. But then when you've worked out, like in Halo, it's that feeling of taking off the shield, hit them, fun. Like that the person is dead. I've done my job.
Yeah, there is that rhythm of bang.
Yeah,
And that's it. You wear them down and then it's sudden.
And like after a while, you're like, oh, this is all it's doing to me. Like this, like little tactile sort of loop.
My
is
most
really nice.
enjoyable experience in Halo was I played, and it wasn't even a guy I knew. He was like a friend of a friend who we just played a couple of Halo games with, and I didn't really know him at all, but we were both unemployed at the time, and we just spent a lot of time playing the doubles, like 2v2.
Oh, yeah.
And I still don't even really know the guy. Like, sometimes I've had experience with people I haven't known, and I feel like I've got to know them. But with this, we just got good at it.
That was your bond.
We didn't really talk that much about other stuff. We just played, and we got really good. And we had this sort of like kind of unspoken thing about knowing the timing of it perfectly. And it was just a tag team. And I love the way that you'd stand there and fire, and then just as your shield was running out from you taking fire, you would duck behind a wall, and then they'd replace you and they'd pop out. And it was just this flow of like both of you moving in a way and flanking in a way that meant that you'd take a few hits and then let them take a few hits, and it would basically give the other team the impression that you were just invincible. Like, they were constantly shooting you, but they weren't able to do anything while we just stormed and stormed.
Like Halo Capoeira.
Yeah, it was amazing. But I kind of felt like that kind of intense tactical thing of just, especially I realised at that point that it's so much harder to have communications with any more than that. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's weird with Halo because it started out as a very, very pure arena shooter, basically, and it kind of evolved in all sorts of ways to become a really interesting tactical shooter. And, in single player, Halo is an arena shooter. In multiplayer, it's a game where you get in vehicles and shoot at stuff. And, in the first Halo, you could shoot someone in the head 3 times with the pistol, and that would take them out. Like, it was very unbalanced when they took it out in Halo 2, but I still liked it because I was quite good at doing it.
Yeah.
And what changed? What has changed is that it's actually evolved into a tactical shooter. I mean, you can play Halo in loads of different ways. So that's unusual for a shooter in multiplayer. Like, usually, like with Titanfall, it's the same fun over and over. But Halo, you have lots of different varieties of fun that can be had within the systems.
yeah.
Titanfall doesn't really allow for that. I mean, again, I played the beta and I haven't played the full version, so I may be totally wrong about that.
The Halo pistol thing reminds me of Turok Wars on the N64.
Good old
Wow.
Which was like quite crap, but I loved it because it had so many options. And back then, like, options were hot. Like,
yeah,
like
yeah.
in Perfect Dark, it was like, oh, how many options? But I remember they had all these crazy weapons, and we played it a lot. We played it to death, that game, actually. But then we realised towards the end, that actually the best weapon was the starting weapon that you always got every time you spawned. And it was just a crossbow that fired 1 bolt and then took a while to reload. But if you hit them in the head with it, it was a one-shot kill.
Wow.
And it became this thing that was incredibly hard to use. But towards the end, we just...
Because if you miss your shot, you're done.
You'd occasionally pick up a cheeky cerebral bore, but most of the time you'd just be like, dead, ching, dead, ching. It got really intense.
Oh, I quite like another Turok game, just to see what happens, just to see someone try.
They
couldn't
were
be
not
worse.
that long ago, right?
Well, they're 15 years ago, Turok.
No, they made wasn't there a reboot?
I think there was
No,
a
there wasn't.
I think there was a reboot.
There was on the 360.
Was there?
I'm pretty sure, unless it got canned. Hang on, I'm going to use
Let's Google that because I'm playing the heck
I'm
out
going to take
of that.
advantage of the fact that I'm sitting next to a computer.
Turok.
Turok, Xbox 360.
No, that was not a thing.
Yeah.
It was just called Turok, the classic reboot.
Wow.
Yeah, I knew it.
I 100% did not know that existed.
That's the Fast and Furious of games.
Turok was made by Touchstone, Disney Interactive. This was when Disney was still trying to make video games because they'd heard that there's money in them there hills. And then
these video games.
they kind of realised that actually they didn't know a fucking thing about how to market video games and died a horrible
Oh no,
death.
dark, gritty sci-fi world. Showcased through next-gen gameplay.
Players take on the role of Joseph Turok, a former Black Ops commando.
No! No!
Now part of an elite special forces squad known as Whiskey Company,
Jesus, maybe this is why I don't know about
Oh
this.
my
I've
God.
wiped it from my mind.
which is on a mission to take down a war criminal, Turok's former mentor,
Oh my
Roland
God.
Kane.
Is there any more evil name than Kane?
No, but I just love
always-
this. I couldn't write a better
That
parody
sounds
than that.
unbelievably shit. Wait. High resolution graphics and immersive sound. Humans are your primary enemy. It's Turok!
Yeah.
Humans shouldn't be your prime. Why are we getting so angry about a 6-year-old video game reboot?
I don't know, but I mean,
Well,
I
I'm
think
very offended
I think
by
the
that.
bullet point should have just read dinosaurs.
But there weren't any, apparently. Humans are your main enemy.
I think there were some, but not enough.
I'd love to read a review of that. It's just
Well,
like,
they did
where
the
the
same
fuck
with,
are the dinosaurs?
They did the same with that Aliens piece of shit that Gearbox shat
Colonial
out
Marines.
a little while ago. Well, they didn't
bad.
shat it out. Somebody else shat it out, but then they
Yeah.
then they ran around with toilet roll, going, "Oh, I've just done a really. Oh, it was us. It was definitely us." Lying bastards. Yeah. But then I remember when I first started seeing that, and it was like, this appears to be a lot of shooting people.
Yeah.
I remember seeing a preview, and I was like, this is lots of shooting people.
What Isolation gets right.
This
Barely
game's gonna
any
be bad.
shooting.
Yeah.
Barely any shooting at all. But
And
what it
Isolation
is-
looks like a game that's actually been made by Creative Assembly, so they're onto something already.
Yeah.
Human beings.
By human beings. No, that's not fair. I think that Alien game was definitely made by human beings.
I don't know. I think they were homunculi.
I just think human beings, perhaps without a budget,
Yeah.
or much ability. But
Whoa.
no. Well,
that's
I-
fair. That's
I think,
completely
I think
fair.
it's
It was
probably
fucking
Whoever
terrible.
made that
it's one or the
sucks.
other.
Yeah.
I mean, either they were a
I think
bad
it's both.
studio,
Honestly, it's both.
or a bad studio at budget. It probably was both. But the whole thing was incredibly dodgy. Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where the truth about all that is sort of known by a lot of people, but it's something that isn't being talked about for
gonna
a
be
whole variety of reasons.
Really good niche book about it.
Yeah,
one day.
Yeah.
the story will be fascinating.
Yeah.
But,
I wrote a book about Limbo 2.5 years ago that they've still not published for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, and it's like even 2.5 years.
it's kind of ironic.
Even,
I'm not going to laugh about it, but
why had that never occurred? But yeah, that's
at
brilliant.
least you got a good joke out of it. Even if it's taken you 2.5 years
But
to
you know,
realise
I got paid for it and everything. And this is literally 2.5 years ago. And it's like even in 2012, that was quite an old game by game
Yeah,
standards.
yeah.
I was like, oh, we're maybe gonna miss the. And you know, I went to see Playdead in Denmark, and I lived with them for a month to write this book.
Wow.
And it was a great experience. It was really cool. And they were making their new game that was just announced at E3.
Yeah.
2.5 years ago. Looked exactly the same when I saw it 2.5 years ago.
Wow.
But I wasn't allowed to talk about it like at all. Ever.
I wonder what happened there then. I wonder if they just got asked to hold
No,
it back
I
or
reckon
something.
they because Limbo looked like Limbo 2.5-3 years before it was released.
Maybe they're really, really slow.
They're really perfectionist.
Well,
they're extremely slow. And Arndt Jensen, who's the kind of the art guy, the artist behind.
I think I'd go mental.
But he's so perfectionist. Like for instance, I asked him what his least favorite thing about Limbo was, and he said, at the bit where the boy gets picked up by the spider, there's 2 missed frames in the animation when he's getting rolled into a cocoon. That's his least favorite thing about Limbo. Like if you got someone like that in charge of your video game, it
Could have just said
trouble.
that whole shitty gravity bit. Whatever.
Probably the
Each
last.
to their own.
It's probably the last third of the game
It
when
is
it becomes
weird, though,
a
like-
really subpar platformer.
I really do hope that book comes out because I think it was pretty good.
Well, maybe it will when this new game.
I was going to say when
Yeah,
inside.
maybe it'll tie into that. But it was weird because that was one of the only times that was the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my job because you never get to tell real stories as a games journalist. So much of the
Well,
time.
you never do.
Yeah, it's just
you get
not
to
possible.
write them down, get paid for them, and then they get locked in a box forever.
forever and ever. But it was rewarding. I hope it comes out someday.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't imagine being that much perfectionistic.
They
for
were
that long.
crazy about
Because
it.
I mean, I'm quite a perfectionist, but I do hit a point where I kind of think if I don't actually finish what I'm working on now, it will never ever happen.
But I think Limbo nearly killed all of them.
Yeah, you get driven mad by it.
Yeah, and
because-
I think they did. And there's the guy who's kind of the business partner of Arndt Jensen, this guy called Dino Patti, who's a business guy. And you know he's a great business guy and a great games guy as well. But we have to finish this damn game. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
5 years.
Yeah, that's the
And
thing.
That's the only reason it ever came out. Is
just
because
go
he was like,
nuts.
Mad.
and all the stuff they cut out of it was so much.
I mean, I was working on that bloody video about FTL for about 3 months, and that's nothing compared to this. But it's like it was driving me insane towards the end.
I think writing a novel must be like that. You know,
Yeah.
when you spend 4 or 5 years running. I'm like, George R. R. Martin must be just.
I think
he's
given up. He just really likes watching American football, to be honest. Like, that's pretty much the impression I get.
I think he's just not writing them anymore. I think he's just like, you know what, I'm going to be dead soon. I'm just going to ride on this pile of money and keep trolling people.
Yeah, he's just done that thing where he's gone, well, I've given them the synopsis of the last book for the TV show, so I'll just chill.
You know, I'd love
all right.
You know, I'd love it if instead of him actually having given the synopsis for how it ends, he's just like had sit-down conversations with a bunch of people, and he's done like that thing of like he's just giving them all different information. I'd love that if they end up like
Tyrion Lannister does.
Yeah. I'd love it if he dies and they go, it's fine. Then they all sit down and they're all like, what? No, that's not what I've been told.
To make some weird Rashomon version of Game of Thrones.
That'd be amazing.
That'd be really cool. Imagine if he was the ultimate troll. That'd be good.
I think he is the ultimate troll. I don't think he's writing anything. I think he just sits in a room for a bit and taps on some keyboards, or just plays a tape that sounds.
A disconnected keyboard.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing's a ridiculous ruse. But yeah, I haven't really played any games in the past week. I played a bit of Risk of Rain again, but that was mainly to capture a couple of weeks ago because I've been away in a field for a week. So yeah, you been playing anything good, guys, recently?
My evenings currently go like this: I finish work and I go, I'll have a game of Mario Kart 8,
and then you don't sleep.
I pour myself a glass of wine and I have a game of Mario Kart 8, and then I drink half of the wine and play Mario Kart 8 all night.
Yeah.
Until about 1 a.m, every single time.
I really want to play Mario Kart, but I don't know where to put it.
It's stupidly good.
So good. It's so good.
It's difficult for me to. I've been thinking a lot about why it's so good, because it's one of like with Nintendo games, because they're because I grew up with them. Mm-hmm. I struggle to analyze them in the same way as I do other games because they're very emotional. So I'm just like, I'm having fun, yay! And I don't think why am I having fun, and you know, in what way am I having fun? So, but with Mario Kart, I think the key is that it's just so pretty with this one. It's just so good looking that like it's like a sumptuous feast for the senses to race around the tracks, and it's just beautiful. And all the other Mario Kart stuff that you know is good is still good, but then it's just so much more beautiful than any other Nintendo game I've ever played. But yeah, that's now all I've played is Mario Kart for ages. I tell people who play MMOs, I'm like, well, I don't want to play an MMO because it's, you know, I'm scared of wasting, you know, hours and hours of my life. And when I think about how much Mario Kart I've probably played over my entire, it's probably at least 600 hours.
There's something
like,
about
my life.
something about just one thing. And I think that's the same reason I don't really watch, and I know a lot of people who play games don't really watch films very often.
I don't watch films.
And it's
That's
because
interesting. I didn't know that was a trend.
I think it is. And I honestly think it's because of the fact that it's how we view commitment of time. And I think it's like, we know that we can play just a little game and it will take 20 minutes or 40 minutes. But to watch a film is committing to an hour and a half to 2 hours, right? And you don't know whether or not it's going to be worth it. Because films are one-offs. Even if you've read great reviews, you might get to the end of it and go, oh, I wish I'd just done something else.
I've had a bit too much of that recently.
But like American TV series and shows are awesome though, because even if you're watching a pilot, it's only an hour. You're only ever going to lose an hour, which is just on the cusp of like, yeah, that's all right. I'll give it an hour. Any more than that, and you'd be like, oh, I don't know.
It's really interesting. Like, I mean, I know a lot of games journalists who are basically wannabe film journalists and who love film mostly, and then games is a thing.
That must be really sad.
Call them out. Name names.
Get these fucking cunts out. Come on, let's ring them up. Kill them all.
But I've always had exactly that issue with film. Like I'm like woefully. I've never seen Top Gun. I'm woefully undereducated on films. Like it's embarrassing. When people have a conversation about films, I have to just.
You don't need to have seen Top Gun though. I know all Iceman, volleyball, that song. I mean, like you don't need to watch it.
No. You don't.
Danger Zone.
But there is something about it. I'll say that as someone who has sat and watched Top Gun.
The only reason I should probably watch it is because it's basically a gay icon film, and I've watched most of those. Like,
yeah, well, it just
I'm sorry, Joe.
In you.
Films are too big. I'm not watching them. I'm not watching Top Gun.
It is weird though, because I've always had this problem with films, and I get bored after an hour. And I'm bored now.
You see, I have a different thing, and I have this thing where like my girlfriend is more than happy to watch. She doesn't see starting watching a film as a commitment, whereas I'm like quite. I think maybe this is part of the completionist thing. Maybe because I have to watch a film in one go. I don't like watching the other half of a film later.
Do people do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
People don't.
Lots
do
of
they?
people do
Yes, lots of people do this, and I wonder if maybe because I'm pretty fascinated by how many people I know who play games have just stopped watching films. I think it's why also at the moment we're seeing. Sorry, we're going a bit off the games topic here, but it's also why like stuff like Edge of Tomorrow and that other one with the big robots and the monsters. What's it
Pacific
called?
Rim.
Pacific
Love
Rim.
that
Yeah.
film.
Is films which seem to be really specifically aimed at gamers in my mind. Anyway, it's like big sci-fi. It's very much like, hey, let's get the game market, and they've both done really, really badly in the box office.
Did they?
Like Edge of Tomorrow's done terribly. And that's considering apparently, unlike Pacific Rim, apparently it's really, really good.
You didn't like Pacific Rim?
I haven't seen it, but I know that the critics.
The thing is,
let's
the
talk
thing
about
about Pacific Rim is
Let's
that
not.
film people didn't like it. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that it's the same as when you're very, very into something, it's difficult to maintain the same kind of love for it as the normal person who plays a normal amount of games or watches a normal amount of films or whatever. So I think like for Call of Duty for me is the one I'm just like, this is stupid bullshit, and anyone who likes it is stupid, which is not true. Lots of really great people like Call of Duty, and it's just me being an asshole. And I think with Pacific Rim it might be the same for film people.
Yeah, maybe.
They're like, this is stupid and you're stupid if you like it.
Yeah, because they've got a stone to grind. No,
An axe to grind?
an axe to grind.
Maybe, yeah. Grinding stones would just be pointless. You just have a bunch of dust.
I had a very specific games related love of Pacific Rim for a very specific reason, which is everyone in all the mechs in that film have to be controlled by two people.
Oh, that's really good.
So like
Co-op, it would have been such a good co-op game. I wanted to play it all the time.
they should have done that.
Or was
But
it like head and fists?
it's like one half of the body each. So like one person has the left side of the body and one has the right, which
you can't-
seems really
you have-
unwieldy.
you have to-
You have to have like a brain meld.
But you have to mind meld.
Oh, sure,
in order to do
fine,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's just how it works.
Yeah.
So
It's like Metal Gear Solid.
No, I want to
film.
watch it. I'm sounding cynical, but inside I'm just going, why haven't I seen this film already?
It is really, really
So
good.
basically, that reminds me totally of how I used to play MechWarrior 3, because MechWarrior 3, I could not deal with having the whole keyboard worth of stuff
So you
to
did it with
do.
your-
So me and my friend did one side of the keyboard each, and I was just watching it going, this is me playing MechWarrior 3. This is wonderful. It's
nice.
just like they can't deal with a whole mech like I can. It's like they've totally
like
realised
them.
they've totally realised that big robots are hard to control.
I really, really love big robots. I don't know
Yeah.
why this is. It's a very uncharacteristic love. I don't care about cars or like any other sort of thing. Transformers don't care. Big Japanese robots, love them. Got lots of models of big Japanese robots that I got. I think it's partly because when I lived in Japan, I got obsessed with the models, like Gundam models and stuff. And they had armored core models of like quadruped robots, and they were
Armored
so
Core, eh?
cool.
Oh, I love
Armored
spending
Core.
an hour making a robot that I then find myself completely unable to use.
I made an IGN bot when I was viewing Armored Core 4 or 5 I think, for IGN back in the day. And I made a massive IGN robot, and it was so detailed. It had a logo everywhere. It was just great. And then, when the game came out, after the review period, they wiped the servers.
Oh, that's not cool.
They wiped 40 hours of my robot fun and all my designs, and I was like, fuck this shit.
Yeah, I remember when
I'm
that
not going
stuff
back
became
there.
a risk suddenly, and you're
Yeah.
is this still gonna be or is this not gonna, because I don't want to lose. Yeah.
And the hilarious thing is the servers were actually less populated after release than they were before.
Wow.
Because it sold so badly. And
It had a really cool multiplayer idea as well, that game. I mean, that game was not great.
It was
remember
great. It was
that,
great
yeah.
if you had people to play with.
Well, exactly. It was great if you
amazing,
had what did they call it in that? It wasn't a corp,
No, it
was
wasn't like a
as in-
squad or what was it? I don't know.
It had a very
It was
specific name.
ridiculous, yeah.
It was a cool idea.
It was fucking complicated.
Yeah. It
I
was
remember
really
switching it on and just being
complicated,
like, "This looks awesome," but I've no idea how it works. It's basically like
love
getting a
games like
really. Well, I kind of do and I don't. The problem with it was like I love it when you jump into a game and you go oh, complexity. I love that. Like when it's almost like indecipherable complexity, because I love knowing like how much fun I'm going to have working out how it works.
Sorry, I just had a random memory. When I was 16, I had my first job in video games. I was working on a magazine, and I bought with my first wages a Steel Battalion controller.
Oh fuck!
nice.
Which is one of those giant, like several hundred button controllers, lots of joysticks.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
I put a photo of myself on. Did Facebook even exist? It must have been Facebook or Bebo or some shit. And I put a photo of myself with this controller with the joysticks, just looking delighted on the internet, and my colleagues photoshopped a pair of cocks into my hands, and it got circulated.
Yeah, that's gonna happen.
That's a cool thing to do to your new 16-year-old.
But that was it. Like, I'm pretty sure that's technically illegal.
Yeah, there's probably something dodgy there.
Probably is.
I thought it was funny at the time.
Now it's
If you try that shit now,
It's Utri time.
probably get quite angry.
Come on, let's drag them back.
That's the thing, yeah.
They've all left the industry now, but we'll find them.
It's happening for the 70s now. In like 2030, someone's going to get that image and be like, well, someone's fucked it.
Yeah, that's illegal.
But yes, very complicated controller.
Oh,
Wow. It's taken, 13 episodes to get to Utri?
no, we probably hit that earlier.
Oh, really? Have I missed that?
Probably, yeah.
There's
I don't know.
always
This is,
certainly.
I like enjoy the fact this has become like a kind of a bit of a robot special. So I think we should roll with that.
All right.
Because it seems like we've gone from talking about Halo, who is basically
robots.
Halo is basically
Definitely
a robot.
robots.
Come on. Halo is basically a robot. Mr. Halo.
I mean, his name's John Halo.
Johnny Halo.
It's John Halo. Get it right. John Halo 17.
Yeah.
Oh man, this reminds me. At some point, I want to get him on, but like me and Martin had the best time ever at Halo Fest. We just sat giggling like schoolboys whilst coming up with fake questions that we wanted to ask the panels, and we wanted to. The one thing we really wanted to stand up and ask, and we never had the balls to, was, what's your favourite Master Chief? Just because everybody else there had such an incredibly specific and intimate knowledge of the entire Halo thing that we just wanted to just
Ruin it.
What's your favourite
yeah.
Master Chief?
That is
Utterly
really
ruin it.
tempting.
But yeah.
I always get the urge to do that in demos of really, really boring games
Oh yeah.
that people care an awful lot about. You know, and it's mean. It's
Yeah.
mean to ask stupid questions designed to mock people.
It is,
It's
but at the same
cruel.
time, like it's that's fine, because at the same time, the same people will probably be fucking you over in the next interview where you have a round table about a game and somebody's asking about the number of polygons in a tank, and
Yeah.
you want to just go, shut the fuck up and get out of this room. I've got to write a fucking 6-page preview about this, and I cannot talk about how many polygons are in that tank. And also, he's not going to tell you because nobody even knows that, you fucking prick.
Have I told you my Okami story? I think I may even have said this on the last podcast.
I don't remember.
The first interview I was ever at was a roundtable about Okami, and there were a bunch of there's this thing with European journalists, like some European journalists. I don't know if it's a language barrier or what, but you just get the weirdest questions. And we were all, you know what Okami was like, beautiful game, lots to ask about. And an Italian journalist asked, if he is dog, how does he open chest? And the translator kind of looked at him for a bit and went, sorry, can you repeat the question? He's like, yes, if he is dog, how does he open chest?
That's beautiful.
This got translated for a while, and everyone was kind of looking at each other like, and eventually
How do they answer this?
the Japanese developer was very game and was like, well, he butts the chest with his nose.
I was going to say.
And it bursts open. And the Italian journalist was like, okay. He like writes it down.
I was going to say, presumably this wasn't Hideki Kamiya answering this.
No,
otherwise he would have
that would have
lost
been
it.
taped.
I just found it very strange, like, I don't know, working at a magazine a while ago about that. You do come out of those interviews with other media wondering what the fuck they're going to write.
What's that
You must wanna
preview
look
going
it
to
up.
be?
Because it's like, I know, it was like, I found it consistently very difficult under all sorts of pressures. Mainly the pressure of dealing with developers who largely don't want to tell you fucking anything about their game, and just give you 3 screenshots and go, just write about it for an indefinitely long amount of time. But you sort of think, how are you going to do that? How are you actually going to do that? Because I was always spread incredibly thin in terms of what I had to use. And when these guys just sort of go, how does a dog open the chest?
And how many polygons are involved.
It's like, where's their fear? Like, I don't know, I went into so many things with a genuine fear that I was going to end up going home not having enough
300 words
to
worth
write
of
about.
quote, yeah.
And it did become like a strategy game of being like, how can I spread this information cleanly so it's not immediately evident to readers that I don't have a fucking clue what I'm talking about. I think I was quite good at it. But
what you do is an extended 300-word intro about your dad.
well, that's the thing. That's the
This
thing.
is it. Everyone was like, "Oh, games are so self-indulgent." It's like, no, just had word counts to fill.
Yeah,
Just
we
had
just
pages to fill.
really
That's
worried.
really the only reason it was.
I suppose at the time, yeah, that made sense. We got all these
that
pages
was
to
why.
fill.
That was why new games journalism happened.
Yeah, we've got pages and pages to fill, and very little to actually talk about.
And very few people working on this magazine. So
I
it's
know we'd
just,
be like, oh, we need a page on this. What is it? I don't know, but we've got one screenshot. And like, this isn't a screenshot, this is like concept art. And I'd be like, yep. And you'd just be like, speculate for about 400 words.
yeah,
had a
man,
very-
old school games.
I kind of like that though, because I used to get really excited about the games I'd invented in my head.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe it could be a game about this. Oh, they've done games like this in the past, so maybe it'll be like this, but with dragons. And I'm like,
that
oh my
never-
god, this sounds amazing.
That never happens now because there's like immediate gameplay video
Yeah.
the second anything gets
Well, this is the thing. I
The
had this-
mystery's kind of gone.
I had this weird experience recently where I had like I probably shouldn't name what it was. Basically, it was a game that had not yet been announced and was going to be announced at E3, and we had like an hour-long interview with the guys making it, but no screenshots. So
Right.
I had to write quite a lot about, and I got to see the screenshots after I'd finished writing it. So all the stuff was kind of fixed that I'd got wrong. But it was initially, it was like, we have to get this basically done. So just listen to what they're saying and avoid talking about how it looks at all. And it was
Wow,
really
that's
odd.
rough.
It was, and it like, but it was quite fun because there was this thing where you're like, I'm imagining so much cool stuff happening right now. This game looks brilliant, and the game has been revealed and it looks really good. But like, yeah, it was this.
But you did used to have to do that. I remember, when I started on magazines in 2005, maybe, and the assets you'd get would be pointless, or they'd just not happen until like the day before a deadline, and you'd have to make it up, or read internet previews and make it up from that. It was ridiculous how poor and like amateurish
Yeah.
the whole
Having
scenario
said that,
was.
I don't know if it's that I become better at it, or if it is a case of things becoming a little bit more homogenous. But I have found myself more recently just being able to look at like a few seconds, or just even like when they announce a game or something, and being like, oh, it will be this, and it will work like this, and it will do this, and just being spot on a lot of the time. And I can't work out if it's just that I've got better at doing that, or if it has just become a lot easier to do that.
Yeah, that's the question.
It's almost a bit depressing whenever something pops up and I just make all these like just boring kind of, oh, it'll be this sort of game with this, and it's like, then people are like, oh, how did you know? It's like, I don't know, it's just fucking obvious, isn't it? Like, it's almost like you just sort of think, what are all the safe options? These ones, it's that.
I remember when I was a kid reading N64 magazines.
I think maybe it was always like that. I
read a few. I was setting up a new bookshelf the other day, so I had a bunch of magazines, old magazines, and I read a couple of N64 previews, and they were literally making it up. They had 2 screenshots, and and it was nothing like the game that ended up being, but they were just having fun with it, and it was actually quite entertaining to read. But when I was a kid, I believed this as gospel. So, when I was 7, I'd be like convinced that Mischief Makers was going to be the best video game ever released by anyone.
Yeah. I bought that game and I fucking loved it.
I did actually
Even
enjoy
though
it.
it was
I did enjoy it.
well bad
Yeah, but
and
it was not
well
bad.
weird.
It was so strange.
Do you remember?
Games aren't that weird anymore.
Something I'd forgotten about Mischief Makers until I was Googling it a little while ago, mainly to prove somebody existed, because it's such a weird sounding game. But there was one level where you had, and it was one of the hardest levels in the game, it took so long to beat, was you had to like take a tiny tricycle and ride it, and ride a tiny tricycle over this collapsing landscape. Within a really, you couldn't like miss a jump or anything. It was like an incredibly tough challenge. And then you got to the end of the level, and it was just one of the characters, the king. It was the king's tricycle, and then basically you got to the end, and it just went. He just literally said, "Oh, thanks, you've got my tricycle," and then the story carried on. And it was just literally like out of nowhere. There was this one level where you had to cycle the king's tricycle back to him for no reason,
Of course.
and it was so fucking hard. I was stopping it for like hours.
There was, those games that you kind of half remember from childhood that you think you may have made up.
Yeah,
There's a particular game. I thought it was several different games. Like I had memories of, oh, you're a mermaid in like a dungeon, and it's kind of Zelda-y. And I was like, oh wait, no, you're a robot who's also a ninja. And I'm like, no, you're. And then there's another. I thought, oh, this is a different game. You're a fat guy who likes eating pies and is always naked for no reason. Turned out all of these games were Goemon Mystical Ninja. All of them were that, just at different points.
yeah. There's that nice dreamy thing though. I think it was Adventure Kid in Monsterland. What's it called? Like something. Adventure. I can't fucking remember, but it was a game basically similar to that, where it wasn't like, it was an action game, but you could turn into different things. Like you could turn into like a dragon man who could breathe fire. You could turn into like a bird that could fly. And it was like a side-scrolling little adventure game. But it was just this thing. I remember I never played it, but I saw someone else playing it. But for years, I thought I just dreamt it. Because it was this thing of being like, it seemed so cool and amazing and expansive. And as I got older, I was like, nah, they weren't really making games like that at that time. You just dreamt that. And then eventually I saw it and I was like, holy shit, it was a game. It was a game. Like,
I think it's even the people who grew up with home computers, like I grew up with consoles. This doesn't happen all that often that you remember a game and nobody knows what it was. But with people who grew up with home computers, there were all these random Amiga and Spectrum and C64, and people literally had no idea what they were. Like a friend of mine was trying to remember this like Apple II adventure game.
So yeah, that's the thing. Like we had a Mac when I was growing up, like really old Macintosh thing, and we used to get like magazines in that would have like shareware discs, so you just get loads of weird like tossed off games that just you'd never see them again. And the other day I was chatting to Edwin, who I work with at Official Xbox, and he's like, yeah, I'm writing this thing about
he wrote as a feature about that.
Yeah, so he wrote about that, and I was like, oh really, what are you writing about? Are you writing about this game called Escape Velocity? And he just went, yes. And we just sat there and just reminisced about this like lost, weird, like terrible rip-off of, I think it's like Elite or something, like it was one of those kind of space like faring games. And it's just beautiful, this moment where you're going, it definitely existed and someone else played it. It's brilliant. That's such a lovely thing.
I had a weird thing, and actually I mentioned it in an earlier podcast, forgot the name of it. It's Starflight is the game, but I used to love it when I was a kid, but I didn't meet anyone for years who'd heard of it. And I got such a weird look. It was is it Casey something from BioWare? Well, I think he's like the head of the studio or whatever. I had
Hudson?
Casey
Hudson, yeah.
Yeah. I had an interview with him about Mass Effect 3 before it came out, and I was at the studio, and it was like quite an exclusive interview, and it was quite in his office. It was all quite like serious and stuff. And I was just chatting to him, and he just sort of like said, "Oh, you know, I grew up playing like games like and Starflight," and I just went, "Starflight." I play that. I remember that. And he just looked at me as to go like, "All right." But it was like he didn't really seem to realise that. It was like, "You're the first person I've met in my life who remembers that game."
Yeah.
Like, this is exciting to me because this was before, like, I don't know now. One of the things I really love about working more on the internet and working more on YouTube and stuff is the fact that when you half remember a game, or when you talk about a game, you immediately get loads of people being like, "Oh no, I remember that," and filling in the gaps of your memory.
It didn't used to be like that, did it?
Whereas with magazines, it's just like, if you don't remember the name of the game, you're fucked. Like, you just can't. You
can't crowdsource that information.
No.
I think that's starting to happen with memes now as well. Like there are half-remembered memes from when I was a teenager that I sort of, you know.
That sounds like a lyric from a half-remembered memes.
But you know, they're sort of
coming out.
one of the weirdest things that's ever happened to me in my life. I was in a Pokemon Center in Nagoya once, and there was this girl there who was quite cute, and she was kind of wandering around the store looking at stuff, and I was kind of wandering around the store looking at stuff, and she picked up a plushy Mudkip and just kind of held it for ages, and I kind of walked up and was like, "So, I hear you like Mudkips." And she was like, "I was so hoping you'd come up and say that to me." And it was the beginning of a lovely friendship with this girl who I just met in a Pokemon Center via a 4chan meme from the early 2000s.
And that can so easily just be like, "What?"
Exactly.
From who?
Can you imagine if she had no idea?
Maybe that will be like a brilliant social excuse that will get anyone out of any trouble. If you just say something really odd at a party or something. Because I do that all the fucking time. I say things that I just think, why did you say that, you freak? I mean, it's all right with like people who I know or people who know I am, because I'm sort of vaguely renowned for having a strange sense of humour, and people will accept that sometimes you're just going to say things that are just strange, and they just go, "Oh, it's fine. It's usually quite funny, but that's just a bit weird." When you don't know people just think you're a fucking weirdo. I'm going to start saying that. I'm going to say, "Oh, it's a meme. Sorry, yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
It's an internet meme."
4chan.
I thought you'd get it, but obviously not.
You're just not cool. That's why I was talking about that. It wasn't any other reason.
That is excellent.
I'm going to start doing that, genuinely. Okay, let's have some questions, because I've been really bad at questions in the past. This is from Josh Taylor. He asks, what are the best PS3 games that he won't have heard of / played? He thinks, basically, there's things that aren't Uncharted He's written Uncharted as if like a chartered accountant. I like that. Like
An Uncharted.
This accountant's
Rebel.
off the chain.
Yeah, it's like
He doesn't do things by the book, but by God, does he get things done.
that's a very different game. Nathan Drake has a big black book and a red pen, and less etc. He says only just got a PS3, so yeah. Like, what would be your one recommendation for a game on the PS3, which is something people might have missed?
Mine would be El Shaddai.
Oh,
It
yes.
is a beautiful, random, like weird, the kind of weird you don't get anymore, Japanese game. And it's basically it's kind of it's sort of like a scrolling fighting game, kind of, but it's so bizarre. It changes. The thing about it is that it changes every level.
Yeah, it's fucking odd.
In one of the levels, you're fighting an underwater dance master. Who keeps doing like Michael Jackson moves across the screen.
Oh, yeah, that'd be so good.
Yeah, there's so many. I could name more, but there are so many bits of it that you won't have any idea what's coming, and then when it does, it made me
I've got to
so
say,
happy.
actually, having
Jason
said,
Isaacs is in it and as the devil, which is cool.
Really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he's Lucifer. That's Jason Isaacs.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's
I
fantastic.
got to say, like having said earlier about how I got to a stage where you could just look at games for a couple of seconds and completely have the measure of them and be fairly spot on. That was a game where I sat next to Edwin Evans-Thelwell from OXM while he was reviewing it. I sat next to him playing it for hours, turning around and looking at it. It's
completely
and
different
I
every
have
time.
no fucking idea.
Yeah.
Like one of those things where I was just like, I don't know what this game is at all.
That's why
Yeah.
I loved it so much, because it was completely unpredictable all the way through, and it was such just it's not amazingly good. I mean, I reviewed it for Eurogamer back in the day. I gave it a 9 because it was just so surprising and great. But I mean, it's not the best game you'll ever play, but it's so invigorating.
What's kind of lovely about it is it switches up constantly. Like the settings wise, so you'll be in kind of a really leafy place, and then some abstract sort of like expressionist painting,
And then like a weird Islamic style,
or like
churchy thing, mosque-y.
cyberpunk future for
Yeah.
a bit with motorbikes.
Oh, the motorbikes bit, and then there'll just be giant, like, strange creatures.
Yeah. Those
that come
really
out,
long, the
yeah,
Nephilim.
kind of elongated,
Yeah.
strange things.
But beneath all this is like a really pared down take on Devil May Cry combat.
Yes.
Like underneath all of this. And you just like, it's such a solid idea. Just have a great like fighting system and then just do mad shit around it.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
And
yeah.
do you know that game was really interesting because it was financed by an Indian millionaire.
Really?
He basically found the guy, because the guy who made it, whose name I've forgotten, shamefully, but he used to work for Clover Studios. And this chap who founded Ignition, which is an Indian-based game company, just really loved Clover Studios. So he just found this guy in a Japanese
so
bar
cool.
and was basically just like, make whatever the hell you want, please. I'll give you all the money. And that's how else should I have
That's awesome.
it was great, yeah.
It's all
'Cause
based on...
I did wonder how that ever got greenlit.
Yeah.
Well, it's a sort of wacky arty game about the Bible.
yeah.
And it's crazy and
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even the Bible. It's like a weird bit of the Torah or something.
Yeah,
it's
it
like
is.
it's...
I went and interviewed the guy who made it at Gamescom years and years ago when it came out, and he was because the thing is, both of the main characters in it are male, and they're both quite kind of, they've got quite not scantily clad, but they've got flattering outfits, should we say? They're eye candy. Like a lot of the characters in it are eye candy, and most of them are dudes. And I was saying to him, like, what's the deal with that? Because a lot of the time, in Japanese games, it's the women that are the eye candy, and he just kind of took a drag on his cigarette and was like, well, I have a very beautiful girlfriend. Maybe other game designers don't have a beautiful girlfriend like that. Just kept smoking. I was like,
excellent.
I love you.
that is a hot answer.
It was fantastic.
The answer was just...
I don't need to look at fake women.
I would have hoped he kicked up his cowboy boots onto the bar at that point. I'd say Ni no Kuni's excellent for the first 15 hours, and then it becomes a tedious chore, just like every other Japanese RPG.
That's totally fine though.
Pretty
15
much.
hours of brilliance.
It is fucking awesome
Better than
for a
most.
while, and then it gets annoying, and then it's like, this isn't very good, but it's brilliant while it lasts.
It's on all formats, but like Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, which I think is cheap on PSN at the moment,
still haven't
is
played that. I've got
one
it.
of
So
the
good.
best games I've played
So
for
good.
a long time. Like heartbreaking, excellently thought
really
out.
need to
If
play
you
it.
have a significant other, Josh, play it with one hand each on the controller.
Oh yeah,
control
that's
one
a
stick
good
each.
idea.
Significant other Josh.
Josh was the question answerer.
Oh, right.
Keeping
I
track.
forgot
man.
that. I was like, does it only work if
you
your
have
partner is called
significant
Josh? If you're close to someone called Josh, you'll really appreciate this game. I was just like, that's weirdly specific. Okay, anyway, we'll move on. This is a quick and easy one. Casey Ardrey says, best and worst trends in game journalism. The best trend in game journalism is people fucking getting on with it. The worst trend in game journalism is people continually fucking talking about it. I don't really...
Here.
I think, I'm done.
I'm fucking tired of it. The amount of people sitting around talking about what's wrong with game journalism, most of these people, if they fucking spent more time actually doing something, they might not be so miserable.
I mean, there are problems, right?
There are problems.
But,
But like...
continually going over them on Twitter.
You
over
fix
and over
these
again doesn't
problems
help.
by looking at the things you don't like personally and then doing something that's different to
Doing your
that.
best.
Good work.
And if you're right, if the things that you thought were a bit crap are a bit crap, then people will look at your work and go, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
And that's it. Stevie T asks, you now have children. This is like the start of a Choose Your Own Adventure book.
Yes.
You now have children. What's the first game you would let them play?
Mario.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the problem, is how old are they? And, like, because a lot of kids are going to find Mario quite hard, because
Of course.
Early
But,
Mario.
I mean, it's weird. It's weird this because my parents were quite strict. I was only allowed to play video games on Fridays and Saturdays. But I got my
Same with me. I wasn't allowed to play. Video games were the only thing that I was ever restricted from playing.
same, like, yeah.
And look what happened to us.
Yeah,
So let
right.
your kids fucking play games, or they'll end up like us.
But yeah, I because of that, I got my first games console when I was 7, so relatively late. Like nowadays, kids.
I was 9.
Oh really? But nowadays, babies are playing games on iPads. So in an ideal, he's at their houses. He doesn't play at our house.
Yeah.
But you can't control what they play at other people's
No.
houses. And he boasts about, I played the level where you stab the man in the neck, and it's just like, oh, so sad.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I was playing freaking Zelda 8.
When I was a kid, I was having Duke Nukem 3D locked away from me. that's my primary memory.
That's when I started to get into that shit with the freeware stuff, because it suddenly became this thing of like I was playing Duke Nukem 3D and my parents didn't really know.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have a part in it. Somebody had just given it me. Like, I didn't have to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, that happened to me with PCs as well. That's how I got around the Fridays and Saturdays things. I just figured out how to download shit.
Yeah.
And then it was like, I'm playing educational software, and it was just Age of Empires, which I suppose was relatively.
We played so much Red Alert at school. I don't know why there was a copy of Red Alert, but there was, and it was the best
We
thing.
managed to network Doom, and we
had
networked Civ.
Red Alert.
School. I guess a teacher must have bought Red Alert and then left it in the classroom, and someone just nicked it, and then we had Red Alert forever. It was the greatest. IT lessons were incredible.
that was us with Doom. We just networked Doom.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But it was, I mean, the reality is now, like, even if you stop your little kid from playing something that you don't think is appropriate, they'll just watch it on YouTube at some point. This 8-year-old stepson of mine is just like, so that choice that Lee has to make at the end of The Walking Dead, that's pretty hard, isn't it?
Oh my
And I was
God.
like, exactly, and it's just like, what the fuck? Where have you got this from? But he's just watched it on YouTube. He's watched everything. There's nothing you can do about it, unfortunately.
No.
You can't control it. Someone else will show them it if they don't find it themselves. It's so sad, though.
I'm just going to play Viva Pinata and force them to watch.
See, this is
Pretend they're having fun.
Yeah, this is exactly if I ever had my own kids, I'd be like, you are playing Nintendo and only Nintendo. Don't touch a controller.
Yeah, that's the
My
problem.
controller.
That's the problem. You become like, I remember I had a friend when I was growing up who I wasn't friends with very long, but like it was one of those houses that they were only allowed to watch Blue Peter and Newsround.
Ah, yes.
And then the telly had to go off.
Yeah, yes.
And it's sort of like, I don't know who those children have grown up to murder, but but like it's just wrong. Like, but then the same thing. I remember at one point some kid being dropped off at our house for a while because it was like some friend of friend, and clearly from a bit of a broken family, and it's like, you can look after him for the day. And I just remember sitting on the computer and just watching behind us. He was just playing GTA 3. I was like, we've got loads of games, play what you want. He's like, I'm just going to play this. And I'm like, GTA, okay. Because he was clearly really young. He was about 8 or something.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, it's quite old. And he's like, I've got it at home. And I was just like, all right, fine. And then I just sat silently on my computer, just turning around, watching as he just repeatedly picked up prostitutes, drove them down an alleyway, shagged them, and then beat them to death.
Yeah, it is concerning.
And then took the money, and he just did that over and over again for hours. I was just sitting there
very
being
concerning.
like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And when you see little kids play games as well, they find compulsion loops. Like they'll find something in the game. Like for instance, when this stepson of mine was like 4, we'd play Kirby's Epic Yarn. Because I was like, we're going to play this, it's for children, it'll be nice. And he just became obsessed with this bit where you become a dolphin.
Right.
And so it was like, play this level, get to the bit where you're a dolphin, dick around for as long as you can until the timer runs out, restart levels, Play the same level, wait till you're a dolphin. He would just do this for hours, and you'd be playing with him like, oh, please, can we finish the level? Please. But
Yeah, we've all had our fun now.
But your rubric for what playing a game is, like, as an adult, what playing a game is to me is completing levels, completing tasks. As kids, they just don't care. They just mess around.
Yeah, and it's
so in GTA, that's really dangerous.
It's like that's what I was thinking in. I don't know if it is dangerous or not, but it's just one of those things
not
that
dangerous.
I know,
but
but
not ideal, is it?
Maybe,
let's be honest.
Maybe. I don't know. It's more that it's like, I think that it all boils down to the classic thing of the fact that it's like, if that kid is a bit mental...
Yeah, it's not going to help, is it?
It's not going to help having a way that they can repeatedly reenact a fantasy violence act.
But then you have to wonder whether it's like catharsis that's keeping them from.
Yeah, we don't know.
So, yeah,
well, there's no way to know.
All I know is, if I'd seen Dexter, the TV show, at that point in my life, if it existed, I would have been sitting there going, "Fuck, it's a Dexter. This kid's going to be a murderer."
Yeah, I mean, I was quite a sensitive child. Like, I'd have cried forever if you'd showed me freaking GTA, probably, as a little kid. I didn't like guns. But the thing is, most children are just fascinated by things they can't have. So I think that the moral of this answer to this question is, whatever the hell you try to do with your children, whatever games you try to get them to play, it just won't work.
It won't
work. Get to the point.
You now have children. Welcome to terror.
Everything is fucked. There's nothing you can do. But yeah, I do think just kids do get that.
Try your best, but
do your best. A question from Chris Booth. This one's for you, Keza. How do you feel Kotaku UK is going?
Good. It's been fun. It's funny because
in case you didn't know, Keza, Keza's in charge of Kotaku UK.
I launched Kotaku UK 2.5 months ago now, so we're still very new, but it's been going super well.
Time flies.
I know, right? It's scary. But we've been publishing a lot of stuff I'm proud of. The funny thing is, I get a lot of people being like, "Oh, what's the point of Kotaku UK? Why don't you just publish it on the US Kotaku?" And it's like, well, the point of Kotaku UK is that somebody's making money out of it. Like, the publisher who has licensed the brand is making money out of making a separate site. That's why it exists. On the plus side, I now get to do all sorts of awesome shit, and so does everybody who writes for us.
Pretty much the root behind most companies.
Exactly, yeah. So it's like, in the it exists because someone's making money, but that's fine because it means we can do lots of cool stuff. So it's been good. I've really enjoyed it. I hope it's going
visit
kotaku.co.uk. It is quite good though. Genuinely.
How do you get onto it if you're in America? Do you have to press special buttons? Do you have to enter a special code to get out of the
.co.uk?
Wow.
I mean, if, by the way, also, if you happen to want to view Kotaku US in the UK, you just type us.kotaku.com and that gets around the redirect.
Magic.
So it's pretty easy. There's loads of buttons. Also, you can click on it. Like, if you're on our site and you're like, what is this stupid bullshit? I want Kotaku US. There's a big button that says go to Kotaku US. So it's not hard.
It's a blend of everything, isn't it? All of the US, mostly. Is it all of the US stuff or most of the US stuff?
Most of I cut out stuff that I think is stupid. If I'm 100% honest.
I've got a lot of time for that. I've got a lot of time for that. That's stupid.
It's quite nice. Like, I mean, I used to, as some listeners may know, I used to work at IGN. And the way that worked, it was the same company, so it wasn't like licensed. So
sure.
If we saw something in the morning, I was editor of IGN UK, the games editor of IGN UK, and if I saw something that was stupid, I'd just have to go, oh well, now I can just get rid of it.
Remove it.
It just doesn't exist on my website, and I'm like, cool. That's
it is good.
That's
That's one of the things I dislike the fact that occasionally I feel like I'm actually going insane on a desert island working at home, and this is one of the reasons why for me this podcast is almost like therapy. But at the same time, one of the great things about working on your own is you can just nix anything.
It is good.
I don't like this. I mean, it's gone.
Almost 100% of that. I mean, Kotaku is I think it's a great site. Like I love the stuff the US comes out with. They do some great journalism and some hilarious stuff.
Still, it's always fun just to be a ruthless dictator.
Exactly. It is fun. And there's things, because we have a relationship with the US where they publish most of what we publish as well. So we'll publish a bunch of stuff from the UK, and anything that isn't UK specific, like, there's this new hoodie out at Uniqlo in the UK. Anything that isn't like specific, they'll tend to bring over. And they have the same thing.
Is there a new hoodie out?
Actually, no, I wish there was.
I quite like Uniqlo. I was like, what is it? Because I like the collaborations. Every now and then you do a really good one. You're like, they're doing this.
I thought they were going to do a Mega Man one at one point, but they didn't.
I've got no interest in that at all. But
it's a shame.
I don't know.
They have the same, like, if they think something we do stupid, they can not publish it. So it's nice. It's good. It's reciprocal.
Reciprocal banhammers. Yeah, I like that. Llewellyn Griffiths asks, what games have you really enjoyed that act as an exception to your usual tastes? I'll answer this one while I give you guys a chance to think.
Go for it.
This one's really easy for me. It is Forza Motorsport 2.
Really?
I have no interest in cars. I don't have a driving license. I can't drive. I can drive. I've driven a couple of times illegally. Don't arrest me. It was fun.
Well, I don't have the power to arrest you, frankly.
Well,
Citizens arrest.
We could actually take him down right now.
Let's wrestle him to the ground.
I would say that you can't prove it, but actually, a friend of mine.
Video exists.
Video proof does exist.
Oh, dear.
Why would you allow yourself to be video driving for one of the only times in your life?
My cool friend wanted to make a short film which involved the start of the film, me driving a car down to the woods.
Interesting.
So I wasn't on a main road.
I thought you were just doing really high speed.
technically-
Did you have the L plates on?
Technically, it was hilarious. Because it's like, this
hilarious.
is video proof of me breaking the law. Whereas on the internet, even I don't know anymore, so good luck finding that. Police. Yeah. If you don't know, I'm now sticking up my middle finger as if to say, oh, police.
He's not doing that.
I was, Joe. Stop it.
He's really too cowardly even.
Joe, stop it. You're not in the gang anymore.
No. I don't know what. This is hard.
I got so into Forza. I don't know why. But not even just the cars.
But why Forza 2?
not just
You haven't liked the rest.
Well, I haven't played any other ones.
Oh, okay.
But I think I got it free with my Xbox. I got one of those bundles where you got some free games.
Oh, yeah.
Remember them?
Yeah. Lego Batman and...
Yeah, you get
It was actually Lego Indiana Jones you got free with the Xbox.
I did know. I played that a lot as well. But you get a racing game and a little action game. But I weirdly got into the tweaking the cars a lot. I got really into being like, wow, I use this softer suspension with these grippier tyres and it'll handle like this. And I was like, what's wrong with me? I became like a motorhead for like a month.
Wow. I really liked Madden 12. because I don't understand the rules. I don't know what's going on. I apologise to American listeners. It's a stupid game. I don't know what happens in it. But there was
rugby, right?
There was a button that made your guy do a little jump, right? And he did this kind of little, like quite fey, like just a little kick out with his leg when he jumps. And you could use it to kick people. So I got really obsessed with just playing single player and running up to guys and doing this little like dainty kick and they'd fall over. And that's Madden 12 for me. It was the best.
I had a similar thing, another one when I was a child, because I've never had any interest in football either. Not at all. But I remember playing ISS on the SNES, and I remember you could turn the fouls off, so it meant that
Kick someone in the face.
and then what would happen is it meant that fouls were just legal. You couldn't get sent off, and so you keep cropping their goalie, right? You crop their goalie and crop their goalie and crop their goalie until their goalie got injured and had to leave, and then they bring out the replacement goalie. They bring out their sub goalie. And then you keep cropping that goalie, and then he gets sent off, and they wouldn't have any more subs, so they just wouldn't have a goalie. So I mean, the game was then like during this 90-minute period of like get rid of their goalies, and then you get loads of goals.
That's ridiculous.
And it was so much fun. We just sitting laughing and just tears.
That breaking sports games thing is really interesting.
so much
Did you
fun.
see that? There was that
on
amazing article.
SB Nation, was it?
Yes, yeah.
that's
That
great.
amazing article where that guy just broke Madden by having the worst team versus the best team.
Yeah, with you know, he'd done all the sliders so that people were stupidly tall or stupidly smart. And what happened at the end? It was just like a kind of terrifying four-legged kind of
somehow these two
strange
players
chimera had melded into the centre of the
Just
pitch, and
broken.
just nothing would happen. It was just silence.
That's incredible.
As we looked at this two-assed chimera thing riding around on the pitch. It was just
Sounds
incredible.
like a bad dream.
It's really good. The gifs.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Oh, mother, the gift.
Let's look at that afterwards.
You would not believe.
Yeah, that's good.
Lord. And finally from James Phipps, what do you think of the idea that games don't need to have politics in them? He says, it doesn't make sense to me, and I can't help but agree with it.
Anything is inherently political by existing.
Yeah, I mean, that's
You can't-
basically long and short of it.
If you're basically, I mean, this is something that happened with Tomodachi Life, where Nintendo came out and said, we're not intending to make a political statement with this game. And that made it in it. It's the thing is you can't just come out and say.
You see, to me that
Didn't
was the political statement.
Exactly.
Like,
we
it
weren't
wasn't-
intending.
It wasn't what they'd done with the game.
Yeah, exactly. What they done with the game was basically an accident of coding, and also in Japan, nobody would ever say, "Why isn't there gay marriage?" It's just not a thing that would ever happen there.
Yeah.
So it was just a cultural thing.
And also, it was that weird thing of winning that game. You're not actually like, it's not like The Sims where you have a character that is you and then you have the agency. It's more just like you have a bunch of mad bastards running around town.
I mean,
doing
it
stuff.
was stupid that you couldn't have gay relationships, but the thing is, in Japan, just nobody would ever ask. For it.
No,
It's just
yeah,
not a thing
yeah,
that
yeah.
happened. And it's literally a cultural cultural difference. Nobody would have asked. And so it wasn't in the programming. But what Nintendo should have done is said that. Instead, they said, we're not trying to make a political statement. It's like, right, so your version of not trying to make a political statement is inventing a world in which gay people don't exist. That's a political statement. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Whether you were trying or not, that's a political
I think
statement.
that's the funny thing is I think what it basically boils down to is people who, I think actually somebody tweeted something like this the other day that I retweeted. It was like, Perfect summed it up in the fact that it was like, if you think that games shouldn't be political, then all it means is that the games you're playing are perfectly serving you your own politics.
Yeah.
And that's all it is.
Something is not political if it stars a white man doing things that you consider completely acceptable.
Yeah.
Then it's not political.
Maybe he's got a girlfriend and some friends.
Maybe he shoots a bunch of people in the face. This isn't working out as an analogy, is it?
Maybe he's got some friends. Yeah, it's fine. Everything's
If
fine.
you consider a game apolitical, that is probably a game that just doesn't challenge your politics.
I think the thing is, it's like everything is political, but also everything has an agenda of sorts. And sometimes the agenda is just not rocking the boat. And you've got to appreciate that is the agenda. Like if you play a game and you think, oh, this game's great, it doesn't have any politics, not trying to shove anything down. So its agenda is to not rock the boat so it can make more money.
It's like,
and that's the agenda. The political agenda
trying not to rub you the wrong way.
We want to make the maximum money of this, so we're going to aim for people who have an extremely shallow worldview, an extremely narrow idea.
They're not for that. Why would you limit video games that way? Why would you mandate from total fantasy that you approve of? I think that's just limiting games.
Yeah,
why on
absolutely.
earth would you say they can't?
And also,
why would
fantasy.
you say Papers, Please can't exist?
I mean, it's like, it's fucking dumb for the reason that, like, one of the most about real world things.
Yeah.
Like Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, it's all like parallels to the world. They're all things trying to make a subtle point. I guess the point is it doesn't have to necessarily always be a really brash point. It doesn't have to be like, this is a game about racism. But like, games should naturally include themes.
Why shouldn't they have? I mean, the thing that's strange to me is people who complain about politicization of games and games discourse. It's like, well, if you don't like it, don't buy it. That's fine. Keep playing the games that are apolitical if you like. Like, why on earth would you say other people can't?
I think it's the way people assume it's not going to it's going to stop making a game fun. Like I remember, I loved playing Planescape Torment because it was just a really fascinating,
That's a
fun,
very political game.
in-depth game that's incredibly political. It's like drowning in politics and ideas. And I came out of that game having just thinking about everything differently, thinking about the world differently. In fact, it made me think about mortality.
Yeah,
and it's like, but it wasn't like, in doing all of that stuff, the game was less fun. It wasn't like, there's less weapons.
Like the people who complain about the politicization of games, it's like games are one of the only, steadfastly, you can avoid everything in the game. You could skip cutscenes. You can not listen to. You don't have to. You can just play, and so you could, even if you are angered by the politics somehow, it's so easy to ignore it if you like something anyway. Why complain about it? Or just don't play it. Just let people enjoy what they have.
But also, I think
it all comes down to games should be this, and if they are not this, then I'm upset for some reason.
And I think the bottom line of the agenda is the bottom line of it is there is an agenda there. If you're playing a game and you're thinking, oh great, developers aren't bogging me down with bollocks like sexism, racism, the only thing you should take from that is the fact that they have decided that the most important thing on their agenda is making more money. It's not to make a better product, it's to make more money because they know that if they go for a safe conservative group of teenage boys who don't know anything about the world, they'll make more cash. That's the agenda. In the same way, it's like, you can't... Everything has an agenda. It's like, God knows how many people pick up a newspaper on the tube in London Underground. People pick up the Evening Standard.
That's got a hell of a political agenda.
It actually boggles my brain to think that people might pick up a copy of the Evening Standard, which appears to be a newspaper which just reports fact, and not realise that it is an incredibly right-wing publication that borders very strongly on being conservative propaganda. And it's like, if you don't realise that everything you consume has an agenda, even if that agenda is as simple as we want to make the most money, then you're a fucking idiot.
Things are political by their very existence, just
everything's
in general.
political.
But the thing is with art, that just make if you like games that don't challenge you, fine. No one's going to take them away.
No, yeah.
Like, this is what gets me as well. It's like, why do you not allow Depression Quest to exist? Like, why are you so upset by Depression Quest existing? All the other games that you play still exist. Like, why would you pile on?
I think the idea,
weird.
and especially because it does boil down to the idea that like people think that they're going to replace the games they
Someone's
love.
going to take those
And
toys.
there will always be a vast majority of really stupid people. And they'll keep serving you. So let us fucking have some other stuff as well. Right? Just let us have our bit, and you go over there and play with the money men in the money sandpit.
I'd quite like a money sandpit.
I'd love a money
That would be
sandpit.
good, wouldn't
I
it?
can get into making
To
games about
Indiegogo.
white people.
Joe Scrabbles wants to make a money sandpit. I know what you're thinking. What will I do with the money afterwards? I'll keep it.
I'll
Roll
probably-
around in it and post photographs to Instagram.
I'll probably wet a bit of it and try and make a castle. But beyond that, just gonna be in a pit.
I would probably fund that.
Exactly.
Anyway, on that note, I can't think of a better time to wrap up the podcast than with that intensely erotic image. And thank you very much for listening to Daft Souls. If you have enjoyed it, then you can get your mum to listen to it. Maybe in a car while she drives to the shops. See you next time. Bye.
Bye!